天呢，可能主办这个活动这场讲座一个非常重要的一个起点呢，因为每一年的3月8号我们庆祝妇女节嘛，世界各地有人在庆祝。那是不是有一天我们可能也会有一个纪录片日呢？我们还不知道，但今天呢，很可能就是那个起点。那首先呢，容我自我介绍，我是陈丽婷是今天晚上的主持人，也是 NTV7的新闻主播兼记者哈。那今天呢，我们有这场讲座会的主题是纪录片与社会改革是由人民纪录电影基金会、VideoArt 录影杂志和网络媒体当机大马主办。那我身边有几位主讲人呢，待会儿让我来一一介绍。那这项活动呢，其实是一个巡回的流放巡回放映会的其中一部分。那主要的除了3个主办单位之外呢，我们还有隆雪华堂社会经济委员会和新纪元学院的媒体研究学会协办。主要的赞助单位是声援原住民记者及撰稿人组织。那很荣幸，我们邀请到3位主讲人前来分享他们在纪录片这个领域的一些见解，还有他们的经验呢。首先是我最左边的是周泽南，他是人民纪录电影基金会的创办人，曾经在报社和电视台担任记者，大家应该很熟悉他。再来是VideoArt 的录影杂志主编林佩诗，以及我右边这位，她是马来西亚人权组织社会传播中心 COMAS 的节目策划人夏美玉女士。那刚才谈到纪录片嘛，我们直接进入主题嘛。我们说纪录片在马来西亚甚至很多国家是很冷门的，像今天我们会讨论说，哎呀，奥斯卡它电影那个颁奖名单出炉了，《黑天鹅》啊，你看了没啊？好不好看啊？国王的演讲，你会这样去讨论。但是我们不会说我们要讨论今天看了什么纪录片嘛？很少，在马来西亚甚至很多国家也一样，我们很少去思考，纪录片对我们的生活可能有什么影响，还是有哪些纪录片我们印象特别深刻？大概只有去年吧，应该是海豚湾的扣比较引起大家注意，是谈到日本那个猎杀海豚的一个纪录片大家比较关注的。那到底如果纪录片这么冷门，它怎么样跟我们的社会改革产生那个关系呢？我们首先把那个主讲。邀请主讲人周泽南来跟我们分享这点。来，先看。
Good evening, everybody. Have you seen the King's Speech? So I am in the station now. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Okay, I don't know what language I shall speak now, because from the audience. Okay, I make a quick survey. How many of you can understand Mandarin? Please put up your hand. How many cannot understand Mandarin? Okay, how about a little girl? Okay, how many of you cannot understand Bahasa Malaysia? Never mind, I can use sign language. Then, how many of you can understand English? So all of you can understand either English or Bahasa. So I better switch to Bahasa Malaysia mixed with English, okay? I think this, although I have prepared my slide in major of them is in Chinese, but to meet the demands of audience, always our priority. Okay, so this is about documentaries and its social impact, prepared by, not yet, Lirang Batuk. I haven't introduced myself. Lirang Batuk, alias Sozanan. So it's about how I get this name. Okay, not because I'm scared that I will be blacklisted by Sarawak government. Because I have been doing this Batul documentaries, so I got this name. It's indigenous people's name, Lirang Batuk. Okay, the next one. Okay, so I'd like to touch on 2 points, like speak on the perspective of a filmmaker or of a documentary makers. why we are making documentaries. Okay, we suppose we like to do documentaries. So there are several reasons. One of them is making money. Of course, this is illusion. Unless you are doing some, in Chinese we call it A片 or X-rated film. No? Second is a kind of hobby or interest. Partly can be affected, no? But not to me. Okay, because if entirely this is on this self-interest and you treat it as a kind of hobby, finally I think it will become short-sighted. Okay, the third one. So, and this is what I'm taken my stand is we treat it as a part of this social, what do you call it, social movement. So. It means when we are recording the reality of the social, okay. And another part, I think we also should stress is besides producing, doing filming, shooting, editing, we should also stress on how we are going to disseminate our information. And now this is a very important part. And we face, in reality, throughout Malaysia, if you are documentary makers, in fact you face a serious problem in this because throughout Malaysia, the only channel you can watch a documentary is like Astro AAC, RTM, I don't know whether NTV7 have this ADC Siasat. And this our moderator today, Tan, he's one of the producer, journalist, okay, which is going to be on air in near future. So in other words, actually we have very limited channel to publish our whatever our works. In fact, if you know what happened in last year during April, there's an incident. I have no time to explain what happened to me, but I could tell you shortly is that I was fired by RTM on 13th of May last year because I did Bakun documentaries, and the result they gave me is we want to cut costs. Okay. No, that's a long story, and if you wanted to know the story, you can come to our film screening tomorrow, which we are going to show you 3 films. Two of them are on Bakun documentaries, and another one is Rawang, the Rawang new villager who are fighting against this construction of high power tension. Okay, so. The second role, we must stress on is how we disseminate the information of our works. That's why we are having this we call it exile documentary. Why we call it exile? Because we have not given any space or channel to publish our work. So we have to use our own resources. We have to create our own space. So we have decided to show it to every single possibility to show it possibly to every single audience that we can find throughout Malaysia. Okay, we move to the next slide, please. Okay, so now from the perspective of our audience, okay, why have you watched documentaries? Maybe it's boring, but this is not a good reason, because after you watch documentaries, you get more, even worse. Okay, second is entertaining, but I will tell you most of our documentaries is not so-called entertaining enough if compared to Hollywood or Bollywood movies, right? Third, to understand the reality. Actually this is one of the roles. In fact, if we can differentiate between you would say we have a lot of information in Malaysia or whatever, not graph, review and net, internet. Why still we need documentaries? So there's a difference maybe between this documentary or pictures and articles. Okay, maybe later Anna or okay, you can share with us. Now the fourth objective is to change. I must stress this one because otherwise I won't have any reason to produce documentaries. Because I would think it is documentary is part of the major player in social changes. Okay, can we move to the next one? If any of you cannot understand my broken English, please raise your hand. No? I can shift it to Bahasa Malaysia, also broken one, or Spanish. Okay, some of the myths. Okay, last year I was teaching in New Era College. They opened a course called documentary making. So I have only 12 students. So during the class I asked most of them, what's your first impression about documentaries? Or they said, like animals in National Geographic. So most people who have very little experience or very little exposure to documentaries, they will treat documentaries as some sort of animal lovemaking, that sort of things. It seems that like people doesn't have any value in documentaries. So and most of Malaysians would think documentary is like TV documentaries. Because the limited resources they can expose to. They will treat like this My Siasa TV7, Gary Mandarin TV2, SOAC as documentary. I would not say that this kind of documentary is not real documentaries, but there are different kinds of documentaries. This kind of documentary which can be shown in TV is only very little part of the entire documentary group. Some documentary, I would say, in China, they are about how many hours? 4, 5 to 6 hours. I don't know how many of you can stand that kind of duration. One documentary takes 6 hours to watch. But for most Malaysians, because we are so used to entertainment, okay, we cannot stand a 15 minutes documentary. Maybe a 10 minutes YouTube documentary is alright for us. But when actually it depends on the audience. We think like that because we are so used to city people, city dwellers, city audience. When I show my Bakun documentaries in Sarawak interior, it's about 42 minutes. For them, they will watch it like, how come so fast? They expect you have at least 2 hours of documentary. So it's a different kind of attitudes towards the documentary. Okay. And some other myths like documentary must have a lot of narrative. This is the most, even my students think like that. So from the beginning till the end, they expect there are some narrator, they speak all the time. Okay. But some real documentary, they don't even speak the words. Okay. Okay. Finally, documentary must be entertaining. It depends on what you define by entertaining. Okay. Okay. The next one, please control my time. Alright. Okay. This one is in Chinese. 什么是纪录电影? Okay. This only derived from some dictionary. Okay. Okay. Maybe we shift to other parts. Okay. Documentary. Why do I say documentary is a medium or a tool of changes? Okay. Especially looking at like in mainstream media, all of our radio, TV, in fact, it's totally controlled by the authorities. As I would say, especially after Najib take over, this more obviously is a stringent, tight control on this one. So two of the examples is in last year April, NTV7, what do you call it? NTV7, what do you call it? ADC. What CU? Editor's Time. This was banned, which is supposed to discuss on this Ulu Selangor by-election, was banned after after the management of NTV7 received some kind of message, SMS from our First Lady, our pretty First Lady of Malaysia. Okay, the second one is of course because one week only after the incidents, the Bakun documentaries on Bakun Dam, which was produced by me, is off the air, forced to walk off the air under the reason it is sensitive, because that time is during Cebu by-election. So from these two examples, it proves that the control or it might be control, direct control from authorities or self-censorship imposed by the RTM or by this TV station itself. Okay, and of course you see, not everybody like to watch TV. You can go to other channels like online media, Malaysia Kini, Malaysia Review, whatever. But it's a fact that I don't know, I don't have the figure, the exact figure, but how many percent do you think the Malaysians have access to internet? I really think it's more than 35%, maybe as low as 30%. So how about the rest of the population? What can they watch? Or what's the method, or what's the channel they can access to this other kind of information? That's why I propose, documentaries must play a role, or play a role in this one, is in social changes. Especially because I quite often I went to Sarawak. If you happen to go to Sarawak, maybe I can do a short survey. How many of you haven't been to Sarawak? This way, raise your hand. Okay. Oh, all right. And how many of them haven't been to China or India? I think most of them have been to overseas and never been to Sarawak. Okay. It's the strangest thing in the world. Because you treat Sarawak as a foreign land, a foreign country. So why I raise this one? Okay, I will see the internet usage is very restricted to urban and youth. I don't want to analyze about the result of this whatever by-election, okay? But this is one of the signs that in rural area, the lack of information is one of the crucial problems, and this is very serious in Sarawak. You can imagine in a big town in Kuching, 20 miles from Kuching, you won't have nobody is reading newspaper. 30 miles from Kuching, nobody has access to internet. 40 miles in Kuching, nobody has any access to any information except RTM. Okay. So how they are going to, if we talk about 308, because today is the 3 years after 308. But how can we expect this to happen? Another political tsunami to happen in Sarawak, for instance. Have we ever think about it? Okay, for a land which is almost like 30 years behind us. Okay, so I think that documentary can play a role. For information dissemination, or of change. The next slide, please. Okay, so I'll take a Bakun documentary as an example. No, some people might ask, you're fired by RTM and appeared in the front page of Malaysia because you want to be famous. Okay, never mind, I'll take that. Okay, but the other reason actually is they are considering the rights of more than 10,000 indigenous people who was forced to be relocated from their homeland. Okay, their right to be heard. Okay, and of course, this right of 17,000 audience of this TV2 program called Gallery National. Third one, rights of more than, I don't know the exact figure, maybe 10,000 Cebu voters. Because when the Bakun Dam documentary was banned, is the time where Cebu having its by-election. So we can say these voters are denied for their rights to know, to make a better choice, you know, by banning these Bakun documentaries. And also rights to know of 278 million Malaysians. The exact figure or the exact information you can ask Anil Neto from Suarang. No, not Suarang, sorry, in Penang. Okay, like how many percent of the EPF of our money actually is invested into this mega project, and we don't even know about it. Okay, and next slide, please. Okay, so because of the above reason, after I was fired by RTM, we formed a crew which consists of some artists, some documentaries makers, just like her, and also Lion, the director, so and also some journalists from Malaysia and Merdeka Radio. We formed up a crew to reshoot the entire program. Okay. So, and after we came back, we take several months to produce documentaries, and of course the journalists can produce it faster. They write articles on this impact of social impact of Bakun Dam on the indigenous people. So it published in Malaysia and also Merdeka Radio, both in Chinese and English. So as a result of that, they published it in, I think in September. So in November, these people who was affected by the project, they get a compensation of 1.2 million from the government. But this amount of money, actually they are supposed to receive it 12 years ago. But because of the exposure of our team, so the government decided to pay them 1.2 million. Okay. So this I can take it as one of the examples on how effective sometimes, but we are not always so fortunate. Maybe this happens once in a while only. Not every time we are so lucky. Okay, and also we also make 1,000 copies of Bakun episode 1 in VCDs. Why VCDs? Because in Sarawak, most of the places in Sarawak interior, they are still using VCD players and not DVDs. Okay. So VCDs is a major, is an important method, to try to reach out, to disseminate important information to villager there. Okay, this is a secret. I don't want to mention who is the producer. Okay, you just watch YouTube and click keywords type almost bloody well. It's a 4.5 minutes short documentary on YouTube. So it's amazing. In the first day, when somebody uploaded it, I don't know who, it's more than 1,000 hits. And day 5, 16,000. Now it's about 45,000 in 2.5 months. So, I mean, when you did something impressive, actually you can reach out more audience. Okay. Yeah, so next slide. Okay, this is some of the conclusion. This is what I also learned from our friends, the directors and movie makers, that documentaries not always have to be like that one which appeared in TV, which have very pretty footages, very beautiful footages, with very what do you say, very accurate pronunciation. Okay. Actually, I try to in part one, I try to use my own voice, but most of the response I got from audience, yeah, what kind of voice they're using? They're expecting voice like our moderator, the host, TV host. They cannot accept this kind of voice. But to my surprise, somebody which has surname as me, Zhou Dong, he's singing the song with the accuracy, similar to me, and people can accept it. Okay, so my last word is doing documentary is not for shock and video, of course. Okay, but also for me. Successful documentary must be inspiring. It either inspire people to take action or encourage strangers or inspiring debate. Okay. Right. Do I still have time? 1, 2 minutes. 1, 2, last 2. Then I leave it to question and answer session. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. He and his team face while doing their filmmaking, and some conclusion he made about what is documentary, and the Bakun documentary he shared with us. Next speaker, we would like to invite Anna Ha from Commerce, the board of directors, to share with us her experience in commerce. Thank you. Hello. I'm quite happy that after 18 years, that some people besides me and some friends are starting to talk about the importance of documentary. Yeah, I'm going to share with you my experience working in commerce. Commerce was established in 1993, as you can see here. Okay, and you probably haven't heard our story because, just like most documentaries and films in Malaysia, if you are not of a certain kind, people don't know you and you won't appear on TV. Okay, so we were actually set up in 1993, and it's actually a center to reach out to community and more for education of human rights. But we try to use creative and participatory methods to reach out to people to educate about human rights. Next slide. Okay, so just in short, so like we use creative media, we do trainings, but we use like theatre, drawing, video, photo, but all is sort of like to support the people's struggle to attain human rights. And these are some of our main programs. Currently, we do a lot of work on citizenship and voter education. Then we also do a lot of work on non-discrimination, which we call Bangsa Malaysia. And we also have a big documentary film festival, a human rights film festival called Real Film Fest. Some of you might have heard of this. And of course, we do a lot of grassroots support and advocacy. Okay, next slide. Yeah. So I just want to share this component with you because we're talking about documentaries. That long before this word documentary, we used to just call it community video, okay, where we just work like with communities, and then we just try to use creative media to see how we can support their struggle. So the first thing I did when I first worked in commerce was, that's me 20 years ago. And we basically evictions all around Central, happening every other day, and it's to all kinds of communities. So in the end, it's like, okay lah, we should lah,
So we shoot from what the people did, and when eviction happens, to even when they go to the lockup, right? They arrest people. Okay, the next one. Also, what happened is when we use the video, it's just not to shoot and then like now upload on Malaysia Kini. Our first priority at the time was to show back the video to the people. You know, so if the eviction happened in the morning, in the evening, we gather the people and then we will show the video. And then they will share, they will analyze what happened, who was the the main person, what we did wrong, should we have the strategy like this. So basically that kind of process, using the video and discussing and evaluating what happened, they managed to strategize, they managed to analyze, and so what happened is there's some kind of community organizing start happening. So for instance, when the eviction happens, people just don't pack their clothes and leave, or run away. They start to know that they have rights. They start to know that they can try to protest. So like this, it's also in Sentul. Actually, it's a Chinese school that kicked out one video. I can't remember which school is near the railway. But this group of people came out there for I think few months until finally that video got a house. Okay, and then here at the bottom, that's the video. We didn't put the NGO in front and ask them to fight, but basically because of all this discussion using the video and all, she herself is involved in the saving of her own house. Yeah, so basically the video was used not just as a documentation, it was a lot used in organizing the people, educating the people and making them stronger so they can take up their own fight. Okay, next one. Okay, the other thing that we used to do a lot is, of course, initially, when we went in, like eviction, okay, I will shoot, then we show them the video. But once we have a relationship and they get interested to shoot their own video, it's very important because I'm not there all the time. Evictions happen all the time. Developer come in, the tractor come in, everybody come in the middle of the night. We're not there. So we started this training. It's actually in Sabah and Sarawak, actually, as you can see from the video. And of course, if they do it in their own language and show it to their own people, So like what Charles said just now, they like long video, so no need for a lot of editing. They like to see themselves, Then of course when their own people, like I'm from the long house, I shoot you, of course the person is not shy. If I as an outsider, I go in, I shoot, maybe some people talk to me, but most people will go and hide behind their house. So there is this so-called movement also to train indigenous people to shoot their own videos and to show it back to their own communities. But the same thing is always a cycle. We shoot, we show, and then we analyze. And hopefully in that way, the people who get attracted by the video, in the end go back understanding their issues better, and that, it's just not the developer who is the problem, what about the whole system, and they start to become more and more aware. Because we're talking about the Bakun, I just remember the Bakun struggle, when I was still young, we had the first struggle, 1991, 1996, something like that. And these are some of the pictures, we had this, the women, we got about 6 or 8 women from Bakun, right? We brought them to KL, and then we got them to meet the ministers, went to parliament, meet the people, and then it was during this time, when they were in Padang Mabuk, just doing this and doing some dancing, then FRU came. Then I got my first tear gas at the time. Okay, and then we also, Komas also did a lot of, we supported, there was a big anti-Bakun Dam campaign in Semenanjung already. So Komas was part of the NGO, part of the coalition. So we had some conferences and forums. And then we also made a documentary called The Drowning, which most probably you all haven't seen. That time in VHS-C, no internet, no computer to edit. We did VHS-C and then, no VHS, sorry, the big, you all know VHS still, right? You're not so young. So we already made a documentary, and all the things that you will see in Charles' video that happen now is the things that we said would happen. You know, their land being taken away is too far, you cannot put all the tracks together, you know, the houses is not their style, you know, a lot of things, you know, they cannot get work. Everything that was warned, it happened. Seriously, you know. And we also was part of a fact-finding mission. Actually, after when they built the houses in Sungai Asap, we took a team in and we videoed the condition of the house and all the stuff that already you can see is not going to work very well. So just to bring it up, just to remind you that all these things were done. But like Charles was talking about dissemination, you know, we would have a Bakun forum and we get 40, 50 people. How do you create change? When you are talking, how many forums do we need to have to convince 5,000 people? You just imagine, you know. So I'm just stating that that's the condition we're working with. If you make something that does not get on TV and does not get on cinema or is not popular, we didn't have the internet at the time. Okay, you can have the information, but we are stopped by the mass media, and you know, it's not in the press, it's not on your TV, you know, it's not on your radio, and there's no internet. How do people get information? Now, unless you're very interested, you know, or you have a friend or something, then maybe. Okay, next slide. Okay, then just to talk about other cases. East Timor in 1990 something was not a free nation. So there was a big meeting here, it's the Asia Pacific Conference on East Timor. And it was held in one of the hotels in KL somewhere. And okay, maybe some of you remember it. And when we started the conference, and we had all these like VIPs and big timers inside, then suddenly when mob came, you know, UMNO lah, MSC lah, MCA youth, acting like gangsters, sing, then he came out, then the participants were scared, you know, so we closed the door. They banged down the door, they came and harassed the women, push, say bad words, all that kind of things. But what happened? Because I was supposed to document the real conference didn't happen, so I documented all the rubbish they did lah. Yeah? So that evidence, that time we didn't have internet, so I had to make VCD copies. So we were actually at our own cost, duplicating VCDs, hundreds of copies, to give to people. Again, you all might not have seen it because, VCD anymore. And then, but the court case is still going on till now. Basically, we summoned the police. What happened in the case was, after they arrested us, half an hour later the police came, and then they arrested us. Then the gangsters all got free. Okay? They said that we were resisting arrest. Actually, we've been sitting down there for the past 2 hours because they didn't let us go away. So basically, we decided to take up a case, and the video was part of the evidence, you know, to clearly show that we were not a resistant bunch, you know. But now, what happened is we went to, the judge said that we won, and he actually awarded us some compensation. But just like all cases in Malaysia, it goes to appeal. So we are stuck there. This is 97. So yeah, that's the case. But again, the video was used as evidence. Just like some eviction videos during that time were used in court. Some eviction videos, false eviction, and actually accepted by the court as evidence. Okay, next one. Okay, so I think in general, from my experience, these are kind of the impact on the use of so-called video, social video, or documentary, whatever you call it. Number one is very important is to bringing awareness to the affected community themselves. A lot of times, like we do and then we show other people, but video, especially in marginalized community, you know, who may not be literate, you know, who involve a lot of children and housewives and all. So it's very easy for them to understand, you know. And after they see the video, then they can share. Sometimes they hear someone talk or they read something, then they just don't participate in the discussion. So the video helps in that way. It's good because after they see the video, usually they get very emotional, you know, and then they will talk, and then that's the time that actually you can ask a lot of questions. If you start a meeting, oh, what's our problem now? What shall we do? Silence like this, right now. But after you see the video, then there is it's a very good tool actually, video, to kind of get you going, you know. But this video is not only used within that community. What happens is that actually that problem or that instance of eviction happens to very many communities around Malaysia, you know. So actually, like even in the Bakun video, okay, it happens to this area, but actually if you just bring it to another place with the same kind of issue, they will immediately understand what you're talking about, and they can see what happens, so they can actually anticipate, you know, oh my God, it's going to be like that. What am I going to do, you know? And then the other thing is like pressuring the government and powerful opponents to take action, because like that you really see like what Charles said, you know, you can embarrass them, you know, and pictures speak 1,000 words. So you don't know who is going to reach, you know, and who's going to watch it. So this kind of pressure is a kind of a way to pressure the government or the powerful businesses to actually do the right thing, you know. And actually, it's one of the best tools for mass dissemination of information, because if that are not reported on a controlled mass media. Okay. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So just to share with you that these are some of the other stuff that you might not have ever seen. Okay. So we've done. I'm saying that there have been documentaries done in the past. And you can see from the dates, it judged from 1997 to 2010. So we've done a migrant issue. That time, the Naganita, the director Irene Fernandez, she revealed that the detention camps, in the detention camps, there were a lot of abuses happening to the migrants. And then she got charged. So we did video on the migrant workers, and then we did video on police brutality during the Reformasi time, you know. And then we did something called Suara Asli on the different indigenous issues in Semenanjung that was happening. And then we have a Bangsa Malaysia series. This one is, we got different young filmmakers to do a film about how they feel about race in Malaysia. And then we had other issues. Then the latest being because we are so under pressure to be popular and to attract many people, we started to do feature films. So we tried our first feature film called Gado, the yellow one. It's about racism in school. It's a 70-minute movie. But true enough, it got a very good. It's much easier to get a crowd for a feature film than a documentary, sad to say. Yeah. And then, but this film has no chance to go on the cinema, although many people have said, hey man, put it in the cinema. And this is due to censorship. In Malaysia, if you want to screen or you want to be on TV or anything, you need to have a LPF certificate or something like that. That means you have to go through a censorship board who will edit your film. And once you get the certificate, then maybe you can go on cinema. So if now I want to show my film in the cinema, cannot. But I can't put my film in the cinema because most probably it will be censored 50%, you know, for what's inside, you see. So, yeah, it still remains on the internet, you can watch it. And then the last one is Selepas Tsunami, which was about the changes after 2008. Okay, next slide please. Okay, so these are some of the things that we have faced personally, in Komas. The Bangsa Malaysia series, during the UNO General Assembly, they go and wave our VCD, you know, like hero and that. These VCDs, you know, they are encouraging racism in Malaysia. Out of nowhere, you know, suddenly Komas become famous with that. But actually, if you watch the video, they were not like that, you know. It doesn't. It's the whole objective of this Bangsa Malaysia and non-discrimination is like that, non-discrimination, but it's totally accused of the opposite. Okay, and then the Gado screenings have been closed down many times. Okay, in Penang we showed it, and then also in Malacca. So basically, it's very easy to close down any screening actually, even like this if they want to, which is the police will come and ask, where's your permit? Or does your video have a certificate? And they don't necessarily pressure me as the organizer, they pressure the venue. So in Malacca it was a school, so they started calling up the school. Then after that, the school called me up lah. Hey, sorry lah, you know. So what to do? You know what I'm saying? But what happened was, I think about 20 policemen came to close down this feature film screening. I don't know why. There was nothing sensitive. It was a drama. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's the situation in Malaysia, you know. And Malacca, you come and then you see 20 policemen stand outside there. That will scare you off for the next, I don't know how many years already, for trying to attend something like this, you know. And then selepas tsunami was it came out at the right time lah. But then that time two by-elections were happening, the Hulu Selangor and the Cebu. And in both elections, what we did was we made like in Hulu Selangor we made Tamil. We actually did Tamil narration and sent it, you know. And in Cebu, I think we had an Iban and also an Iban version. And both these times, it was just they went to the the one that was helping us to distribute, and then they just grab all the things lah. They just grab all the things, and then they will say something like, we have to check whether it's got seditious material inside, okay? But they don't take one copy to check, no. They take everything, okay? And they didn't return it lah. So what is it? If not, and they didn't charge. So what is it? It is just a strategy for you not to distribute your film at that crucial time, correct or not? I never got charged. They never called us back. They just took our DVDs. You know, what right do I have? It's under investigation. You know, so some policeman is having it in their house lah. You know, maybe they like my DVD or what. Okay, and the other thing is for the past how many years? I think 8 years ago we started this thing called the Freedom Film Fest. For the same reasons, documentaries were not popular. Everybody wanted to make music video, make kung fu film, make drama, you know, make MTV. So we thought that we needed to really encourage, you know, young people to look at the option of using the video to make something about your reality, you know, about what's happening in your backyard and stuff like that. So we started this thing called the Freedom Film Fest, which is made up of a documentary film proposal competition and screenings. So basically, what happened was it became quite popular. First year nothing happened, it didn't close us down. Second year didn't close us down. Third year didn't close us down. Fourth year we were very happy already. Now we want to go nationwide already. Then come the facts, the facts from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Home Affairs. Okay, according to Akta Penapisan Film, don't know what year, you are actually have committed an offence. All films under that law, which is a really, really restrictive law. You know, basically it says that any film that you produce and it's not about your direct family, like a wedding video, you need a license to screen. Even if it's to 10 people, it doesn't matter. If it's not a video about yourself or your family, that's how tight it is. You know, you need a license. If you don't have a license, there's a jail term and I don't know, $20,000 to $50,000. You know, but I've been screening for 6 years. Every year I screen 20 films. You know, can you imagine how much I would be? Yeah, and that year when we screened, every screening had more spies, mata-mata and the LTF people than normal people. You know? I hope they got educated, but they all came for our films. And in Sarawak, we had to shift location because we didn't want, again it was a school, we didn't want to, the school got a bit nervous, so we had to shift. So all these are so-called oppressions that we have to face, you know, have to deal with throughout the 5-10 years or whatever. That is constantly having to do this to basically just to disseminate information about human rights and to promote documentaries. They are made by Malaysians about Malaysia. Okay. Next one. Okay. So that was Komas, but in general, I think these are some of the issues that as a people who want to make documentaries and social activities will face. Number one is lack of places and opportunities for screening. Yeah, there are not that many so-called nice theatres, small enough, cheap enough for us to screen our stuff actually, you know. And if you say you show a film, people want to see, like show a documentary about bakun, even like cafe don't want to take you like, yeah, too serious lah, you know. My patrons might run away, you know, that kind of issues lah. And in general, lack of interest in documentary as a format compared to feature films, you know, like I said, like what Charles said, you know, our version of documentary is Nat Geo and Discovery Channel, you know. If not, then it is, we don't have any other versions, you know. But actually, Nat Geo and Discovery Channel are actually infotainment, you know. They are very well packaged to entertain you, and then give you information at the same time. It's not a so-called pure documentary, because the fight for viewership is so competitive now. Like Nat Geo last time would have longer documentaries with just animals, right? But now you look at their scripts, they are making it into like a drama, you know, with the story, you know, and then the lion will do this, and then the child will feel like this, and kind of thing. Basically, we've all been basically pressured and structured to be able to gain your interest, you know, and to gain a bigger margin share of audiences. And it has made the normal documentary makers, the traditional documentary makers, a bit more hard. It's more difficult for them. Of course, the cost factor is not really. It's a high cost. It's not something you can do in like a few days. Like Chow going to Sarawak all the way, the cost, you know, everything. Actually, documentaries cannot be made in 2 days or 2 weeks. If you really want a real documentary, that is in depth, you're talking about months. You know, who's going to pay for everything? You know, and it's just not you. It's not like journalism, right? You write yourself, you research yourself. You need a crew. You need equipment, you need editing, you need a lot. So basically, I'm just saying that it has the cost becomes a factor. And if you think you're going to make profit and you're going to invest in it, forget it. I don't think it's possible. Only maybe Michael Moore, you know Michael Moore, and his films are commercial enough, and of course that's in the US. And then in a lot of other countries, say in England and Canada, maybe in China, Taiwan, all these places, there's arts bodies and foundations that will actually give money to you regardless of the topic. They give you, because when you make a documentary, you submit a good proposal and you get it. But in Malaysia, there's none. Everything is attached to politics. So there was Finas had this competition. Send in your Malaysian documentary. But they wanted things like lion dance lah, orang utan lah. Those are the things that will get, or the coronation of the king lah, things that will make Malaysia the kind of image that you want of Malaysia. So what do people like us do? We really cannot. It's not an option. Even with now like History Channel. History Channel recently did something on Highland Towers. Then they did something on Al Mamunah. But if you look at the content of the documentary, they were not critical. Can you imagine? We did a documentary on Highland Towers and didn't really explore the part about how the developers were negligent. What kind of documentary is that? Highland Towers is about the thing falling, right? Everybody wants to know the cause and why it fell. But that wasn't explored. But I'm sure that documentary producer, and I'm not saying that he didn't do a good job, was paid like damn hell a lot lah. You know what I'm saying? So okay lah, I can do it, but I'm going to have to compromise on my content. So as you can see, the box and the space is really getting very small for these people, this breed like me and Chow. The last thing is a lack of support from general public. I must mention this because in the end, if you don't support our films, you don't come and watch it, you don't talk about it to your friends, you don't buy our films, and you continue to watch, Hollywood movies, then this kind of films don't have chance to show, for all these reasons above. Okay, there's no interest. So why would any cafe take us? You know, why would anybody want to, you know, fund a documentary if there's no returns? Blah blah blah. Okay, then. So in conclusion, the Malaysian context, as you know, is really controlled, and also the lack of awareness of our rights and of issues around us. I don't know about the Chinese papers, but the rest of the papers are quite, you know, if you just read newspaper and watch the TV, then I would say that you have quite a minimal awareness of what really is going on around you. Okay, so in this kind of cases, documentaries are very needed. Topics covered in documentaries, if you look right, say what happened if there are no documentaries. Okay, if I stop doing films like this, Charles stop doing films like that, and what's going to happen? Basically, we will have a lot of entertainment films, you know. Leliang Popoa, what else? Ice Puppy Love, and you know, and you know, in the Malay world, it'll be that kind of films, okay? And 20, 30 years down the line, when your grandchildren ask you, oh, what kind of films are? Or look at it, because films are the references of the history, you know. And you're going to get, oh, last time you don't like to dress up as Radio Popo. You know what I'm saying? We're going to lose the essence and the history of the ordinary people, you know. Documentaries would cover unglamorous people, right? You know, factory workers are, plantation workers are, squatters, you know, students, you know. So all this will be missing from our history. Your life will be missing because there's no documentary. Seriously, you look back. What will we remember? What are we leaving to our children in terms of video, you know, audio visual that talks about our history? Nothing. Maybe books are, but maybe in those days people don't read books already, you know, young people. Huh? Yeah. You know, this alternative history is not there. As you know now, the history is already being you know, manufactured, you know, before our very eyes. And what about the effort to document the real history or the you know, the unwritten history? No one's doing it, you know. Only people who have the passion, put their own money and time, and then they do it. That's not going to be able to fight the war, you know, against what's happening now. You know, the blatant, you know, call it misrepresentation of our past and our present. And what's the last one? Okay, the number 3 I think is quite old. Yeah, the other thing is, don't look at films in general as an entertainment piece or something to entertain you. You know, you come back from work, then you feel very tired, then you just want to watch a comedy. I understand, I also sometimes no stress, come back. But if we just look at films from that perspective, it will not help us all in the long run in terms of building up our own human rights awareness and our own documentation of history and stuff like that. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for Hannah's sharing. She has been working very hard from community video to documentary throughout these 13 years. Then many problems like high cost, license problem, and all that. But this is more to a tool of empowering. 他谈的是比较说，怎么样利用纪录片来动员我们的社会，组织更多社会运动，动员更多人凝聚起来，then show back to the people of the society，是一个比较像一个策略，用纪录片来唤醒一些人的一些对人权的意识的那个觉醒。那接下来我们请第3位主讲人林佩诗，VideoArt 的 editor 主编来给我们分享他的经验。掌声。
大家晚上好，我叫佩诗。I try to speak in English, but I seldom speak English in public, so I will conduct 2 languages. Okay. 今天我主要是跟大家分享制作纪录片的一个过程，还有这几年来我们马来西亚的状况，还有怎么样去制作一部有价值的一个纪录片。Today I want to share how we make documentaries in low budget and what the situations of Malaysians look at documentaries. Okay, I try to, at the beginning I want to share the history of documentary, why it is important, because we must look backwards before we go forward. Okay? 我会从一个电影史的一个里程来看我们的纪录片。那在电影里面呢，就主要有2种，一种就是我们说的故事片，另外一种就是非故事片。那非故事片里面呢，还有很多种，就好像我里面有写的哈，有纪录片啊、新闻片啊、宣传片，还有一些讯息的教育片，这是都是很普遍的哈。然后在早期，其实当我们人类有电影的时候，就是在1895年的时候呢，第一部片子就是《火车进站》，然后那个时候那个卢米埃尔兄弟他们发明了电影，那个片子是一个很简单的镜头，就是一个火车进站，那时候就吓到现场的观众。那这是一个纪实电影的开始 ，OK， 它是一个记录和一个再现，记录了然后播出来，这就是一个过程。OK next， 那我先讲一下，就是纪录片的一个本质，还有一个定位，我看你明白 ，OK， I try to translate it 如果你们会看中文的，你们看，就不用讲这样多。Okay, the communist, the documentaries was come from France. Okay, at the time, there's filmmakers from England. Use this word. It means that this is a very important 文献叫什么 some kind of documents that to is a record to the reality. Okay, then next I want to share is the documentaries movement. Okay, 在30年代的时候呢，纪录片的当时呢，在那个时代呢，都是以声音为主，以画面为辅，就是说用很多一些音效啦、旁白，还有一些现场环境声音。然后它是一个独段式的一个纪录片，然后到了60年代呢，就有学者开始讨论，法国跟美国的学者开始讨论什么是纪实电影啊、真实电影啊、直接电影啊，还有一些观察电影，还有参与观察的电影，这些都是当时的学者一直在讨论着。那为什么我要说这个点？因为我要带出一个什么是直接电影。直接电影在60年代是很 popular 的。那直接电影呢，就是我们以人为本为拍摄的对象，然后就是记录那个人本身的一个生活状况，还有事情的演变。然后在70年代呢，那时候人类学在那个时代是一直被讨论的，所以纪录片也趋向一直人类学。然后在人类学纪录片里面都是采用一些虚构的手段，还有策略达到真实。那当时还有一位电影的学者提出了一个东西，就是记录和纪实的一个分别。那时候的纪录片会政治色彩比较浓厚，所以它会比美学重要。然后在90年代呢，纪录片都是以访谈的方式，因为在我们的思考里面就是访谈会是一个很直接性的真实啦，是一个真实。 那从这一些运动这些 movement 里面呢，我们看到说，今天我们的纪录片的电影的形式就是有很多旁白，甚至很多音乐、音效环境声组成的，然后把影片变得更生动、更细腻。好 ，OK， Documentaries movement we start from 1930s. At the time, the sound is very important with narrative, with background music, with occasional sounds effect, with the images that show to the mass. And then come to 60s, there's some filmmakers and some studies about direct films, real film, and then some participatory observations. And then what's important at that time is about direct film. What's direct film? Direct film is something like people is become the main concern in the film, and then people the document is about the life and the people who shoot the document will follow the people to observe his life and the incidents that happen around him. Okay, and then come to 70s about humanities, and then that's the time when the document is influenced by the politics, very obviously, and the time they think the time documentaries become a propaganda films. And in 1990s, there's a lot of documentaries that conduct interviews, because the people think interviews will tell you the truth of life. Okay? 好，接下来 ，OK， 那现在我们再继续讲一个真实电影哦。为什么？这真实电影的一个点就是拍的人跟被拍的人是有一定的距离，通常导演会隐藏在摄影机后面，好，跟被拍者是有一个距离的。然后导演不会把自己的情感放进去，也不会把自己的道德取向放进去，然后就完全是以一个旁观者的角度去看待整个环境，那个人的生活等等的，好，然后就是他们尽量就不要用一些会干预观众去接收那个真实的东西，就比如说有人一直在旁边讲话，就是我们用旁白一直讲，就是把讯息就讲给观众听，而且就是可能这个就会对观众造成的一些干预。那么那还有就是访谈，甚至他们也对访谈都抱有一种质疑的态度了。然后其实还有一个拍摄就是手法，就是进入人物本身的圈子，进入他的生活，进入了解他的内心世界，才能够拍出具生活感的一个纪录片。那从这里我就再讲回去哈，就是。
Okay. Yeah, actually, I think if anything, you raise up the quality of your artwork. Of course, you have a wider audience. That's important. But I think more importantly, right, is the content. Because I've seen a lot of work that are done by good. Biden was exceptional because he has both the skills, the art, and also he has a very strong perspective. His analysis is very sharp. So we need both to make a good documentary. You cannot be like an artsy-fartsy filmmaker and then after that you don't know the story, then you do something about like, a woman's issue, then you portray it the wrong way, it could happen. So I'm saying that it takes both. Ideally, it should have both. But if you ask me which is more important, I've already seen like videos that don't have any skill from the phone having thousands and millions of hits on YouTube, you know. So it's also this whole element of sometimes you're just there at the right time, you know. So it's the first one to hold it up, just like that. What's that, the lingam issue? Lingam problem, no problem, but saying it here, nobody complained about this video, right?
But I think those are like different types of videos.
Yeah. Yeah, so which kind of videos are you talking about? Can you give an example?
Because in terms of documentary, to me it's like a more well-planned project.
Right.
But like the Lingam one, that's like more on the spot, you know, kind of thing. So I think that's not I wouldn't call that documentary. Should you call that documentary?
Activist film like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think documentaries is two things like. I think that's what we are facing now. We're trying to improve the standard and also the perspective. You know, we need like people with skills to start looking at issues, and need people with for people to also deepen their analysis of any issue. You know, documentaries, if you don't have a strong understanding or analysis, your documentary will fall a bit flat now. It can be entertaining, but it's a bit shallow. Right? So I think these two elements are very important in documentaries.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes I found that I expect most of you know about Michael Moore, right? He did the documentary on 911, and also he critiques capitalism. For this movie, especially the capitalism, I salute him because I don't think a Malaysian can make that movie, which can critique the system of capitalism in such a humorous and entertaining way. Okay, but I call it subjective because when I show it to my students, 12 of them, half of them fall asleep. So do you call it domestic? I mean commercial. Okay. So of course, but another dilemma, or not dilemma, another problem faced by a movie maker is sometimes, I mean, you can't have a skillful person who have good and skill as well as the content. You may have people who can, they might be very critical, but most probably lack of skill. On the other way around, some people are very skillful at editing, but sometimes they lack of, they cannot put the content in the proper way or logical way. So it's very difficult to find people with both. Okay, I don't know whether this answers your question, but of course, but I think that there are different kinds of documentaries, but Malaysian audience is very used to those kinds in US, with a lot of narrative and all that. Okay.
其实也是没有发表。
We're talking about solutions, right? I think what I can do is change the assumptions of people to think about documentaries. Actually, documentaries is very interesting things, but people who already pampered with entertaining documentaries, entertaining films. So we have to change the assumptions of the people on how you look at the documentaries. That's it.
Actually, it's not all unhopeful. The Film Fest, for example, every year I get first-time filmmakers, activists, and whatever who don't even know how to hold a camera yet. But quite proud to say that actually through the years, the quality has improved. You know, it's easy to just hire a cameraman, but what you cannot get is the right perspective. That's more important. And the passion for the story, all this cannot get, no. Cameraman, editor, you can just pay money and get, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, I'm just promoting. There are films out there that's been made by the readers. You can have a look at it and you judge for yourself. Yeah. Made on a $6,000 budget.
No one, you're right. Okay, really.
I am pondering, because from the speakers, I sense a tint of you need to document so-called one alternative view to the truth story of the other sides. Yeah? But at the same time, you were also lamenting that the documentary films are not attractive and people tend not to watch the documentary film unless it is being produced by big name or like National Geographic. But at the end of the day, what is the role of people like you want people to watch it, and yeah? Now forget about the channel of distribution first, where it is being limited by our official control. But if you really want people to watch it, I think you should make it entertaining, make it attractive, yeah? Knowing that presently everyone is so busy and then we're so bombarded by so much information, then you really need to make your documentaries interesting enough for people to watch, yet at the same time with an in-depth analysis and carry depth, you know. But otherwise, I really do not know how do you encourage people to watch it. And to say that anybody can do a documentary film, again, I think it is yes and no situation. Yes, meaning that I can just take it now, I'm going to market, I just throw, these are the people everyday life. And what am I going to convey? What am I going to say? Unless I link it up with an issue. That is, everyday life means prices are increasing. Vegetables vegetables are not easily available or they are full of chemical. Yeah. So at the end of the day, when you just talk about that, and again, what sort of analysis you want people to draw, or people have to draw from that film what they wanted to draw a picture out of it. But at the end of the day, my big question is why we are talking about not many people want to watch documentary films. I think the thing is, how should we make a documentary film to be interesting enough for people to come, to debate, to talk about it, you know? And then the talk of the town is, have you watched Coma's documentary lately? If you have not, oh, you are not in person. Yeah? Or have you watched Jojona's film about Bakum Dam? Blimey, if you don't watch it, you know, you are not a trendy person. I think the question for all of us, for filmmaker or documentary producer, that is a question we ask. And because only then when it becomes the talk of the town, I'm thinking maybe very simply, when it becomes the talk of the town, if the people want to ban it, the authority to ban it, people will still find ways to show it. I may say now, to have a wedding, you must have the Pak Food Dams show, you know, wedding. Blimey, that will be the day, of course. Yeah, but we have to make it attractive. So, and I think the National Geographic is very attractive. And it also gives that knowledge there. So I think that is a direction, I don't know. I may say it could be a direction for us to search, or am I being too naive there? For our Malaysians documentary films producer, while we are so much limited by resources. So it's a chicken and egg situation, but I still think that, you know, the filming skill, the story, how you're going to present it, yeah, it's something that we really must look into. Yeah. Just an opinion.
我想这个大家应该很想回应哦。So how to define interesting? Maybe this is one of the questions you raise up.
Yeah. And also just to say 911, okay? When my hubby and I went to the cinema to watch it, there were only 6 persons in the cinema, and it was just launched, right? But we found it damn interesting, you know. And after that, we keep telling people that you shouldn't miss 911, that film. Yeah. So the same thing as in our other documentary film, there must be something good. And then also when you put it in the YouTube, right? A snapshot, okay, a trailer in the YouTube. Then again, 10 minutes, yeah, and you may arouse people if the film is interesting enough. Again, I stress that people are busy. So what are the things that you want to attract people to watch?
Do you all crack Free Sarawak, Radio Free Sarawak? Crack? Oh, so sorry. What happens, who disclosed, there is a British lady who was born in Sarawak, and he disclosed the wealth of Thai mammoth in a website called Sarawak Report. So recently he exposed herself because he afraid that he might be get hurt, by somebody powerful. So we did a documentary on Balubian, but we put it on YouTube only for over 2 months, only 1,600 hits. And this crowd said this is a very good documentary. So somebody, I don't know who, did another 4 minutes documentary called Bloody Well Thai Mammoth. And it's a lousy, it's a very lousy documentary. But the hit is almost now 45,000. So to me, it's not the producer problems, because both films are made by the same producer. But to me, it's more audience problems. Because Malaysian audience tends to be Malaysian audience habits. They like to very sensational topics and sensational contents. Okay, so take another example. I went to watch this The King's Speech. It's an Oscar-nominated film. Winner of the film. So I found almost all the audience Masale. We shouldn't call it. It's not entertaining. That's very entertaining. But why? Most of the Malaysian went to Avatar. That's our film. So now I don't. Maybe the producers should take the blame as well for not entertaining enough. But I think I will take a stand that most Malaysians need exposure, and we will force them to watch, even it's boring. And I think most of Malaysians, we did have some audience who like to watch Bakun Them, not because it's interesting or it's good, it's well produced, because this thing has been banned. If this not have been banned, I think we will lose half of the audience who want to see a video which is not, it's an ordinary video which is not banned by RTM or whatever. So that's the problem. Even the Swan, Black Swan, I wonder how many Malaysian audience go to see that. Even this is the Hollywood film. Even entertaining Hollywood film is couldn't get the audience. So
don't misunderstand me. I said that there's 2 important factors: technical and content. Both must go together to make a good documentary. So I'm not saying that, even though it's shit, you should watch it. You know what I'm saying? That's not the thing. And the films that have been made by Comas, we have had about 100,000 hits on the thing. And I dare say that the feature film that I did is quite professional. So, and what I'm saying is that it's not that we are trying to just show lousy things and then blame it on the audience who don't want to watch. You know what I'm saying? I think this is what we're getting at is that, well, if there's like I said, if there's a documentary and in the VCD shop, you go to you go and buy a DVD there, okay? If there's a documentary and then there's a Hollywood movie, which one will you choose? Usually, right? I think there's a tendency to, because also we are tired, we're stressed and all that, like, to choose something that is entertaining, you know? Not that we don't think, but it's something that's crucially important, like, you know, what's happening in our backyard and it's a video, then we will watch it, you know? Like, all my friends are talking about it, watch it. But just as a format, and it's actually a small point, as a format, just culturally or, you know, historically, is becoming less and less popular, you know? And this is something that we have to deal with as documentary filmmakers. And there have been lots of creative ways of doing things. Infotainment is the way, I agree. I've been doing infotainment for many, many years already, actually, or even for TV. But what I'm saying still, what you can put on air is so minimal compared to the truth out there. And you have to twist and turn sometimes until you don't know whether the person really understands you after a while. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about politics, talking about women's issues also, right? You can't talk about suicide. You know, there's like, for example, if you talk about teenage pregnancy, and then I wanted to talk about teenage pregnancy, and then the story was in the end, the girl actually contemplated suicide, but I can't even put that on air. You know, you can't interview women who have been pregnant but not married. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be damn creative to do infotainment and to be on TV, you know? And yeah, I mean, it's needed lah. What I'm saying is that, what do I want to say? That it's also like, it's got two things, you know. The other one is just interest and perspective. That, you know, we just don't talk about issues in our normal daily life, you know, about politics. It's boring stuff. You know, people don't like that. You rather talk about football, you know, MU lost yesterday, you know, King's Speech, Oscar. There's this tendency in this culture for us to do all these things. You know, that social issues, human rights, politics are all like, only for certain kind of people are the boring stuff. You know, it doesn't concern me. So this is kind of dangerous. And the only way we can reach our so-called audience, like the young and all these people, is through having to really work very hard at being creative. You know? Not only then are we working against no money, having to what all this, but we have to be extra creative. You know? We have to be really like Hollywood producers to get your attention on something like Bakun, or the other hand is get it banned. You know? Seriously, banning is the best thing that could happen to a documentary so that people watch it. Sorry, but that's a sad state in Malaysia. You know, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. Seriously, I don't think this session is to complain about people not watching documentaries. We're just trying to just kind of give you an idea of, yeah, you know, that documentaries actually is an important thing, format or, you know, stories that are valuable to society. And just be aware of it, and next time if you don't have more documentaries, then just try one, you know. Yeah.
Okay, now I want to ask, how many of you watch National Geography or Animal Planet as always and like to watch? How many of you? Okay. My personal experience I want to share is, I wouldn't feel touching when I watch this kind of documentary, but I was touching when I watched something that really hurt my heart. I've been in China last year to attend a documentary film festival. That time I was pregnant, 5 months. I sat in the hall to watch a film that 5 hours. There's a document about incidents happened in China. It's a 5 years incidents. Then it's not skillful and not really, as I can say, it's boring because all the shots are static. The director put a camera in front of the mother, the parents, who talk about her son, her daughter, who was burned during the incidents and died. You know, in China they only have one child in the house. So when the mother talks about her experience during the time, you really want to cry. I'm a mother, and I'm also a mother. I was touched by the film because of the story, because of the way the people telling that what happened during the time, how they feel, how they overcome this kind of sadness, how they overcome, because the incident happened 5 years ago. Now the directors use the camera to go every single houses to interview the parents, their relatives, how they feel after the incidents right now, how they overcome the problems. Then when you hear what they're talking, you will be very touching, and you feel you want to cry. Then the director also shows some footage from on scene. There's some footage when the fires in the assembly hall, because during the time a lot of children inside the hall to celebrating their annual, like something like year-end celebrations of Daira. At the time, there's one sentence in when the things happen. There's one people say, 就是小孩坐下让领导先走，就是 all the kids sit down and let the leader go out first when the fires burn on stage. 让领导先走，小孩留下。所以这句话引起了像中国很大的回响。I was there 5 hours when I'm pregnant. So I won't feel touching when I watch National Geography. I won't feel touching watch Animal Planet. But I was touched by this kind of film. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I tend to want to respond to the last sentence. Because you may be not an animal lover, but for animal lovers, they were touched by that. So maybe you were in a situation when you were pregnant, so your feeling echoing, you can relate to the film. But I felt that perhaps I would say that people like all of you down out there are socialist documentary, social activist documentary filmmakers. Yeah. So whereas National Geography is a different set of documentary making, and it also touches me when I see the animals are forcing out the babies, and I could relate it as a mother. Yeah, I related, and I felt that process was so difficult, and how difficult to be a mother, even for animals and for us. So that could relate. So I'm not quite sure when you just now the way you relate. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I just want to share as animal lovers. I just saw people now felt so angry about this girl. She was trying to abuse the cat, and a lot of people felt about it. Yeah. So just to respond.
Can I just ask the audience, actually why did you all come? Maybe I can respond to, are you all interested to make documentaries? Or are you interested to hear the problems of documentary filmmaker? What is it actually? Why are you all here?
I'm here to support Zhou Zhen.
Okay, so you're here for the party. Okay. Any? Yeah.
Just want to know the truth that I'm not one of those people more concerned with my own life.
Okay, I tell you the truth. Why some of our documentaries is not touching enough? Time is a major element. If we can spend 1 year watching the animal, how it fits its case, how it's, I don't want to say the word like F, We film the whole process and we spend 1 year maybe. For sure we can make a very good documentary film that we got enough footage. On the contrary, I went to Baku just for a few days and interviewed a lot of people. That will be shallow. No matter how deep the question, how critical the question is, the result will be, will be quite shallow because you have to, we compare the time. It takes about 15 years to build Baku. And it takes 12 years for the people to suffer. And logically, I should spend maybe at least 12 months just to document all the troubles, in order to make a good documentary. But who am I going to get the support, to support me to do a 1 year documentary there? Okay, so this is some of the consideration we must take into account. That's why some of the China documentary is very, very good. They spend like 12 years to make it. And also, this only not apply to documentary journalism as well. Some of the really good features, in fact, it takes time. Sometimes, it takes how many years to investigate incidents. And this is back in Malaysian journalism as well. This is not only applied to documentary. And I found I haven't speak one Chinese word tonight, because some audience might expect this is a Chinese forum. So I only wish to sing one Chinese song. That is, okay, I feel glad to sing this song, to be able to sing this song. If I were in China, I would be arrested. Okay, this at least one part we should be grateful. But just now, Anna did mention about how do we create change. In fact, this is in these few years, several months, I was troubled by this question. How do we, how can we change? Inspired by this Jasmine, which happened in Arabic word. But how? And this is, I think, some or maybe most of the audience come here. Maybe this is one of their motives to come here. They want to seek change. And how could it be possible? That's why, this is the publicity time, we distribute one leaflet to you. Sila bertindak demi perubahan. So we don't want you to go back and then get a conclusion that, Charles said, the audience is the one who need to blame. Okay. So at least we think about, we are having some program and you can consider, and here are some web page box, and so you can refer to it. And of course, actually, I'm also thinking about making a documentary on how do Malaysians react, or how do Malaysians inspired by the entire democracy which happened in Arab country. But I couldn't get it started because it's difficult. Because to me, Malaysian seems, sorry to say that, quite retarded or numb when response to change. So I stuck there, and and this is very difficult. Maybe I have to take several years, or even 20 years to see the real change in Malaysia. Okay, sorry about that.
I wish to respond to the question just now. Why am I here tonight? Is because Sarawak State election is just around the corner, and I wish to show my support to the documentary. And I also wish to share some opinions. There is a question being thrown tonight. How do we make change? I think the change can only happens when we reach out to the target audience. The question now is, how can we reach out to the target audience? I think the social networking tools like Facebook actually is a very useful tool. I don't know whether you know there's certain facilities in Facebook where you can search for the target audience in certain locations, like for Stanley Wing, you should search for all those Facebook users who live in Rawang. And for Sarawak, search for all Sarawakians. But there's a problem. Facebook does impose certain control where if it thinks that you spam the other users, it will block you. So we need to mobilize more people. Let's say every audience tonight, we target 100 people in Rawang, 100 Sarawakians, and we disseminate the information about these documentaries. They might work. But maybe out of 100 recipients, only one will be clicking through and reading the content. But I think that will be enough. The important thing is we need to utilize the technology, all the internet facilities, and start to get the ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question? Okay. 好，如果真的还会，对啊。
Thanks for Fuchi's suggestion and regret that I didn't appoint him as our Facebook admin. Actually, we have some hidden agenda. No? As mentioned by Fuchi, the Sarawak state election is clear. It's very near. Maybe early mid of April or early May. So, but do we realize that are we still in an illusion that Malaysia can change without changing situation in Sabah and Sarawak? No, that's the first question I always ask, but I get very little response. Okay? Including all the YBs. No? They are so busy over this racism issue. Somebody claims somebody else is racism. No, but we seldom think about: are we going to change? Are we going to have another tsunami, political tsunami, without considering the real change in Sabah and Sarawak, which has 85 parliamentary seats out of 222. I'm not mistaken, it's 85 or 86 parliamentary seats. No? Sorry? Fixed deposit. So are we going to, especially the information, if you consider looking at the there, like about behind us about 20 years, how we are going to disseminate the information here, not only here, the important information to that two states. Are we considering it? And at the moment, we have some friends. We are working on looking for some changes in Sarawak, not including Sabah. Last year, when I was in RTM, I did some documentaries on citizen without IC. And to my surprise, when I interviewed the DG, Director General of this JPN, okay, they told us there are about 66,000 Sarawakian without IC and birth cert. And if this happened in Semenanjung, it would appear in the front page. Normally, when we see the Chinese press, somebody having a red IC, it will appear in front page. And we never considered there are 66,000 Sawakian. So what are we going to do about that? No. So this is to me a revolution, start become a re-illusion if we are not considering Sabah Sarawak. No. That's what we are trying to trying to put to the audience, and that's why we distribute this leaflet so that at least you can start taking part in our tour to understand Sabah and Sarawak. And of course we started from Sarawak. How's the situation in Sarawak? What do they need? They are facing very fundamental human rights deprivation, not like us. Nobody believe. And the most potential voters, you know what I mean, who we vote for, is in Sabah and Sarawak, because they are the most suppressed people in the country. Sorry if I'm a little bit out of this, because since the audience raised this one, so maybe others can start the discussion.
Okay, last question. So our forum now come to an end. Thank you for all your participation. And anyone? There's one more publicity. Let's share.
So what you watch this tonight is a 9-minute trailer only. So tomorrow we are going to screen three documentaries, part 1 and part 2 of Bakun and Rawang. So because of the languages, we have to face the situation, the reality. So tomorrow we are going to screen it in Chinese subtitles and narration. The later on where then Friday, tomorrow. So the next day we are going to screen in Negeri Sembilan, and 11, that is Friday, we are going to screen it in Bangsa Utama. That will be in Bahasa Malaysia. So any audience who want to catch the meaning, without misunderstanding or didn't know what it says, I can choose the screen date. Tomorrow will be in Chinese, the Friday one will be in Bahasa. Okay. And also, if you want to follow us, we invite us. Yeah, all of you can follow us to the roadshow, which we are going to show throughout the west coast of Malaysia. In fact, we already shown a lot of this Bakun, especially to Sawakian, but in VCD modes. So maybe when the time we are doing the screening, those people in Sarawak actually is watching Bakun part 1, part 2, and also other stuff. Sorry, thank you for your support. And I forgot to tell her, to congratulate her, today is Women's Day. But I'm joking to her, how would you know you are a woman? I don't even know whether I'm a man.
I would like to add some more publicity. Okay, you can check the schedule of the screening from the poster you get just now in front of the desk. You know our screening poster, this one. All the details, the schedules at the back of the poster. So you can spread out the words to your friends, relatives who are interested to watch the film. And then we have DVDs with these 3 titles. All DVDs are being selling. And please, this money is not for our own. Okay, this is for our foundations. And then we would like to do more and more documentaries. This is 3 DVDs that we have now. Okay, part 3 coming up. Part 3 is coming up, and then this money is is go through our foundations, and then we would like to do more and more documentaries. And thank you for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you to all speakers too. 谢谢所有的主讲人和所有今天晚上的参与者。Thank you. Good night.